It was a rainy Saturday afternoon in a small town off Route 68. The kind of town where nothing much happens, and the biggest gossip of the week is who fixed their roof or who painted their porch. The Corner Grill Diner sat right on the main street, a humble, warm-lit place where the smell of fresh coffee mixed with the scent of fried bacon, and the bell over the door greeted everyone with the same cheerful ring. Inside, a young girl named Emily sat at a booth near the window. She was 17, with soft brown hair pulled into a loose ponytail and eyes that seemed to hold more sadness than a teenager should carry. She had been in a car accident 2 years earlier, leaving her with a limp and a crutch. Her mother, a nurse, worked double shifts to make ends meet, so Emily often came to the diner to read, write in her journal, and treat herself to a slice of cherry pie. That day, Emily was wearing her favorite yellow sweater. She had saved for weeks to buy it, a bright, happy color she hoped might make her feel the same inside. But the world isn't always kind to people who are different. 2 tables away, 3 young men sat in a corner, their voices loud and their laughter sharper than broken glass. They were in their early 20s, locals who had never left town, who thought mocking others made them stronger. One of them, a tall guy with a leather baseball cap, glanced over at Emily and smirked. "Hey, look," he said, loud enough for everyone to hear, "the little cripple's back. Maybe she's here for sympathy pie." His friends laughed, the sound bouncing off the diner walls like cruel echoes. Emily froze. Her cheeks burned, her hands gripping the edge of her journal. She wanted to disappear. Another one chimed in, "Careful, man, she might hit you with her magic stick." The laughter grew. Some customers looked away, uncomfortable. The waitress, Jenny, a kind woman in her 40s, shot them a warning glare. "That's enough," she said firmly. But they didn't stop. They never did. People like that rarely do unless someone makes them. Emily quietly packed her journal into her bag, her appetite gone. She stood, her limp more pronounced when she was upset, and headed for the door. As she pushed it open, the rain outside seemed to welcome her sadness. Jenny shook her head and muttered under her breath, "One day, boys, karma's gonna bite you hard." Outside, Emily walked slowly down the wet sidewalk, trying not to cry. She hated that she let their words get to her. But deep down, it wasn't just about the words, it was the reminder that some people would only ever see her as broken. What Emily didn't know was that a group of bikers had just pulled into a gas station down the road. They weren't your average Sunday riders. They were part of the Hells Angels, a notorious motorcycle club known for their intimidating presence, but also for their fierce loyalty to those they considered under their protection. Among them was a tall, broad-shouldered man named Bear. His real name was Michael, but no one called him that. Bear had a thick beard, tattoos up to his neck, and a heart that was softer than anyone would expect. He had a daughter, about Emily's age, who had been born with a disability. He knew exactly how cruel the world could be. As the group fueled up, Bear noticed Emily walking past, her crutch tapping against the wet pavement. Something in her face, a mix of hurt and resignation, caught his attention. "You guys go ahead," Bear told his crew. "I'll meet you at the diner." When Bear and the rest of the Hells Angels rolled into the Corner Grill 30 minutes later, the sound of roaring engines drowned out every other noise on Main Street. The rain had eased into a drizzle, but the tension inside the diner was about to spike. The door swung open, and the bell jingled, but instead of a single customer, a wave of leather jackets, heavy boots, and the unmistakable Skull and Wings logo filled the entrance. Conversation stopped mid-sentence. Forks froze halfway to mouths. Bear walked straight to Jenny at the counter. "You seen a young girl in a yellow sweater? Walks with a crutch?" Jenny blinked in surprise, then nodded toward the corner where the 3 young men still sat, smirking. "She was here. Those 3 gave her a hard time until she left." Bear turned his head slowly, his eyes locking onto the men. The rest of his crew fanned out casually, some leaning against the counter, others sliding into booths. The air grew thick. One of the men chuckled nervously. What's this about?" Bear stepped closer, his shadow falling over the table. "That girl you laughed at, she's a friend of mine. You think it's funny to tear someone down because they've been through more than you could handle on your best day?" The man in the baseball cap tried to play it cool. "Hey, we were just joking." Bear slammed his palm on the table so hard the ketchup bottles rattled. A joke is only funny if everyone's laughing. She wasn't. The diner was silent except for the hum of the lights. Bear leaned in, his voice low but carrying to every corner of the room. You don't get to treat people like that. Not here. Not anywhere. One of the bikers, a tall woman with braided hair and mirrored sunglasses, spoke up from across the room. You three owe that girl an apology. And not the fake kind. The men nodded quickly, muttering agreements. But Bear wasn't done. If I ever hear about you doing something like this again, we'll have another conversation. And trust me, you won't like it. Jenny, trying not to smile, poured fresh coffee for the crew. On the house, she said. About 10 minutes later, the bell over the door rang again. Emily stepped inside, her sweater still damp from the rain. She froze when she saw the leather-clad giants filling the diner. Bear turned, a small smile breaking his otherwise stern face. There she is, he said warmly. Come on over, Emily. She hesitated, looking around, unsure. Bear gestured to the booth beside him. You're with us. Emily sat down, and Jenny brought her a slice of cherry pie on the house. Across the room, the three young men walked over awkwardly. The baseball cap guy cleared his throat. We wanted to say we're sorry. We were out of line. Emily didn't say anything for a moment, then gave a small nod. Okay. Bear leaned toward her and whispered, sometimes people need to be reminded what respect looks like. The rest of the afternoon, Emily sat with the Hells Angels, listening to their stories and laughing for the first time that day. They treated her like she belonged, no pity, no judgment, just acceptance. When they finally stood to leave, Bear rested a heavy hand on her shoulder. You ever have trouble like that again, you call the corner grill. Jenny will know how to find us. Emily smiled, really smiled. Thank you. Bear's eyes softened. You're tougher than you think, kid. Don't let small minds make you feel small. The message. Kindness doesn't have to be quiet. Sometimes it roars down Main Street on two wheels and makes sure the world knows cruelty won't be tolerated. You never know who's watching, and you never know who might stand up for you when you least expect it. So, if you believe in standing up for others, in choosing respect over ridicule, drop a comment below and tell your story. Let's keep kindness loud. And remember, be kind always.